have you done it? Have you joined the Apple beta?
I just joined the beta on a redundant M1 Mac Mini.
Oh, you've gone for the Mac beta.
Yeah.
Oh, I still haven't chanced it. I'm still on Tahoe on my Mac. I don't want to risk it at all. I've been so focused on having this really productive recently. So no, I'm not touching it. I'm not messing with it. This is staying like that.
I don't blame you.
For a while.
I don't blame you, but I haven't used it a lot, but it's so fast. The first thing I've noticed is that Mac is super quick. Opening applications, switching between applications, lightning fast.
I'm looking forward to that then.
Siri hasn't really worked properly yet. It is kind of hit and miss.
You have got Siri enabled then?
Yeah.
What is it like then on desktop?
So it indexed everything. It must have been, there's not much on that machine, but it must have been quite quickly because I heard people talking about days. I came back a few hours later and the sign was gone. But no, it's quite clever. I've got a flight coming up. So I asked it to tell me when my flight is and log me into or get me onto the website to check in. And it recommended the website, told me who I'm going with. So that's quite cool.
Have you run the beta on your phone yet?
No, don't be silly.
Don't be silly.
I need my phone for real life.
See, we took entirely different approaches. Do you remember in the last episode, I said I would join on the public beta?
Yes.
Right? And I would wait to the public beta. I joined on developer beta 2.
Oh my goodness. You couldn't wait.
It was
on the phone.
So I was listening to an episode of Upgrade and they were talking about how stable it is. And then I went on to Blue Sky and I just put out on, actually, I think I went on to Threads on that one and just put it out there and said, is it a good idea to update? I have an iPhone 16e. It's not going to be giving me all of the features, but I'm intrigued enough with Siri AI to actually give it a try. And I like the new, enabled it. Yeah, I'm intrigued enough to actually try it. After about a week of trying to put myself off from it, I downloaded the beta. And then 3 days later, I actually went to the beta. I gave myself time. I waited. I made sure. In fact, trying to be careful with this update, I actually updated to the Tahoe beta first.
Yeah, I saw
to
that.
get it indexed. It didn't do much because it turns out every time you update, and I mean every single time, you have to redo the whole semantic indexing, which I'm not looking forward to when that gets released. I hope Apple will fix that because that is just going to be a pain in the ass every time you update. I will say, so I'm on developer beta 4 now. I've been going with them. The only reason why I keep upgrading is I have one ginormous problem.
Oh no.
Icons have stopped loading for me and images have stopped loading for me after about 2 weeks or maybe a week.
Oh no.
I think caching is going wrong or there is some sort of RAM leak on my phone. I'm actually not too worried about it because it is only taken out Steam and my YouTube alternative. That was the only apps it really affected. And that was because I kept loading those every day and it seemed like the apps I use the most would have this problem.
Yeah.
I tried updating the app separately, didn't do a thing. So I had to update my OS. Apart from that, and the keyboard problem I had where if I'd started chatting with Siri AI and then I swapped to typing with it, my keyboard was fully transparent and I couldn't see my keys.
That's a cool feature.
It's cool, actually. It looks quite cool. Apart from those, which I don't actually see as big deal breakers, maybe for other people, they would drive them mad. But for me, I love this OS. Generally, it is amazing on my phone. It has become my personal, I don't know, assistant. It helps me with everything. It schedules podcast recordings, suggestions. It has full access to my calendar. I sometimes, so Marcus Brownlee did this video where he was talking about when was the last time I did this? And it would use your photos and your bank to figure it out. I
saw that.
That is incredibly useful now that I know that's a thing because I'll often just ask it, when did I do this? And it will bring it up. I'm not a fan of the Siri app now that I've actually got access to it. I think it's perfectly okay. I just want a little bit more from it. I'm keeping it in the listed mode because that makes more sense to me. But that drop down, that animation, it's perfect. Absolutely beautiful. I love it. And then I really love how much more minimal I can make my phone.
The clock, where's your clock gone?
It's tiny now on the screen, right in the corner. I'm loving this. And the control of liquid glass, even better. The fact that I can
Let me guess, you've got yours all the way to the left.
Yeah.
Cool. So is it the first time that you've installed a beta on your main phone?
Yes. I don't think I've ever downloaded a beta on any of my devices. I think we did do a past episode where I discussed it. I don't know if I ended up doing it, but I'm pretty certain I didn't because I don't like risking it. I don't mind my phone. My phone is not my main tool compared to maybe other people where it is something that's rather important to them. The most important thing to me is my laptop. I will try and guard this thing because it's what does all my work. It's where I spend most of my time. My phone, it's kind of my sacrificial goat. I will test things on it all the time. I will say I have no storage left. All of it's Apple AI now. I have maybe 20 gigs in apps and the rest of it is AI.
Is that a 128 phone?
Yeah.
Jeez.
So
this is why they've been planning this for years. They've been bumping up their base storage, haven't they? They knew they were going to take it all back.
I will say it goes down once the semantic indexing is done.
Yeah.
But with how often I'm having to update, I'm practically not seeing the difference on that one. And because I had the huge benefit of having a new phone and just swapping back to iOS from an Android device, I do not have a huge history, so my semantic indexing is a day. Right. So that's fine by me.
That's great.
But
so you're all in.
I'm all in.
You're never going back to 26 now because you're going to stay until we get the golden master, I guess.
I am. Yeah, I'm loving this update. I think it's beautiful. It's generally very useful. So much so that I've swapped back to Apple reminders. I haven't used Apple reminders in years. I've used TickTick. Apple reminders was useless to me.
I use reminders and every day pretty much, right? And I'm always disappointed when it doesn't do because I use it through Siri. So I say, Siri, today, I used it today. Siri, remind me to log on to this meeting at 12:45 and set an alarm for this. And it will put the reminder on there and there'll be no alarm attached to it. And it always does that. And I have to go in manually and configure it.
You reminded me of a thing. The first day that I had it, I told it to set a timer for me. And it didn't understand what I said. I kind of confused it. I was trying to confuse it.
Yeah.
So I stopped my conversation. I restarted it. It was to tell me to turn off, to put out a candle. I was worried it was going to set stuff on fire. You know, kind of worries like that. So I reset my conversation and I just say, can you set a 30-minute timer? It remembered my last conversation and added the subject of put out candle on the timer. And I didn't tell it to do that. That was a different conversation. And that blew my mind. That was perfect.
And it didn't even check?
No, it was great. And then I've had so much fun with it. The only problem I've had is there are no app integrations. All of the Siri integrations hasn't been...
For third parties, you mean? Right.
Yeah. So you have all your Apple first ones. You have your calendar and all that. But TickTick, my main reminder app of choice, that has Siri integrations that I can not currently use. They are just off. They're not working.
Yeah.
Because it's a different version of Siri entirely. It's not bothering to even integrate with those. I imagine...
That's not major.
No. I imagine that will come in.
Happen. Yeah.
When it fully releases. I will say after using the camera app, not a big fan. I expected it to be more like the Gemini experience or the Claude experience where I would just point at a device or get my device and point at something and then start talking to it. It seems to be I press it and it tells me what that device is. That's not very useful. You can type to it a bit later, but I think that's a bit too slow. I would rather have something that is more immediate and allows me to chat to it very quickly. Did have a note for something. My battery is bad. Yeah. I kind of expected that to happen. A lot more is going on. And I generally can't remember. It seems to be removed from my...
What about shortcuts? I thought you would explore with the...
That's it. Thank you. That was exactly what I was
language
thinking.
shortcuts.
Yeah.
That's what I want to try.
I don't like it. at all.
No?
No, it's Shortcuts app I'm most disappointed about.
Oh, wow, that's
I've come
surprising.
across a lot of problems. One of my most used shortcuts, I have two automations.
Mm-hmm.
One automation locks my screen when I have certain apps open, and the other one unlocks my screen's rotation when I open up other apps. It's because I get fed up. I got very much used to Android and this little button in the corner that allowed me to rotate stuff.
Yeah.
I don't want all my apps to rotate all of the time. So I set it up in this weird way. And now those don't work. They just straight up don't work. I don't know why. So it means all my apps rotate again, and it's been driving me mad. Absolutely mad. That's one of my biggest gripes with iOS in general. I'd rather have some apps always locked to disorientation.
Oh.
And then I am not a fan of the AI part of it at all. I don't find that intuitive. I preferred the older interface, especially for automations. It's kind of now more confusing now that it's just counted as a shortcut. I think that's only because I've been so used to automations. I mean, I've been using those longer than I've been using iOS over the last 3 years.
Yeah.
So this is a big change. I want to see if I'll get used to it. But currently, no, I'm not a fan of shortcuts at all.
That is really surprising. I thought that was going to be your headline feature, that you just were running all day, trying all sorts of automations. I'm going to really give it a go, because I'm more likely to speak to it in natural language and say, oh, could you try doing this when I do that? Yeah, I think that'd be cool. Most people, no, I'd say some people will now use it. I don't think anyone uses shortcuts really, or remember Automator?
I do not remember
Mac.
Automator.
You can't remember that?
No, I do remember Automator. Yeah. I have one script that runs Automator, and it doesn't run it well.
Yeah.
It was one I was telling you out before we started the podcast.
Right. Okay. Well,
I will say I also tried the reframing image thing.
Yeah.
It's a good gimmick.
For now.
I can't see a good use of it. I mean, I'm impressed with what it can generate. Yeah. I don't know.
It's going to be video.
I don't want to bother. It's not my thing.
5 years time, it's going to be like you shoot a scene and then you're going to have like 4 angles of that scene.
I don't even like removing people from photos because I feel like it defeats the point of the photo.
Yeah.
So this isn't my thing. I don't like messing around with AI in my imagery. I tend to leave it alone. AI in my workflow is writing suggestions or idea throwing back and forth when there's no one else around. And when it's like, 2 o'clock in the morning and I've got an idea that's come to my mind, I need something to throw it against, and that's what I use an AI for.
But there's a segment of people, like we are creative people, you're an artist. And so when you create things, there's an intention, there's intent. So you will purposefully, take a photograph that you've been thinking about, the lighting's right. But most people don't have any intent. And now this kind of helps them figure that out later on, and that's what they're going for, isn't it?
Yeah, I guess you're right. I guess that's the whole reason why I'm not a big fan of it.
Yeah.
So are you going to swap your phone to the public beta? Or are you going to stay?
No.
You're not
My phone
it?
is staying until we get September, October announcements. The only reason is for me is security. I don't want to use... I've got my banking apps. I've got all sorts of things going on my phone. I'd rather wait. But I'm looking forward to it.
I will say that this update makes me really wish I got an iPhone Air.
Really?
Yeah, because having that on-device AI sounds incredibly useful. And I like the look of the Air as it already is. I'm not looking forward to the new version. I know other people are, but they're sticking 2 cameras on it, and I think that looks really ugly. I'm a fan of the 1 camera system. I don't think we need more than that. And I love how thin that thing is. The only thing is the battery, but also I don't leave my house the majority of the time. So that'll be fine for me.
I think an Air is a good buy in 2027. It might be an Air 1.
Yeah, I might go back and get an older Air when the new one comes out. That might be better. Can you tell how old this document is when I say to you, what do you think about the age UK law? for the
The
internet.
Age UK law.
Yeah, so there is this big talk around the world of having different laws against children using the internet or access to social media platforms. Our government, the UK, has decided that this might be happening. We have recently, as of yesterday, just changed Prime Minister, so this all could change.
Well, he's already announced a slight change, hasn't he?
Yeah, quite a few changes.
To do with that.
What do you think about having a age limit on these platforms?
Social media specifically, my initial reaction was, great, this is really positive. It's going to encourage parents who don't have the knowledge or confidence to help keep their kids off of things that they might not be safe on or aware of how to use. Brilliant, because I do that anyway. Upon reflection, I had a few conversations actually with other young people, and they were saying, well, okay, well, if young people have got to verify their age, then old people have got to verify their age.
I'm glad you came to the same conclusion
and
as me.
I thought, and I never thought of that. They said that to me, and I thought, crap, yeah, I don't want to have to verify my age, because then I have to identify myself and then I become known. Yeah.
So the moment that this was announced, I immediately thought about 2016 when the...
Digital ID?
Not digital ID, but when YouTube started limiting content online and just banned swear words for everyone, made it just kid-friendly for everyone, and it was terrible. And that was the Child Safety Act of 2016 that really just wrecked the whole of YouTube. To this day, we still have a very different YouTube to before that.
Yeah.
I remember living through that and not enjoying watching content at that point in time. That's why it immediately came to my mind of, oh God, we're going to have this again. There are countries now that have implemented this, but I believe this is the wrong way.
Australia.
I believe this is the wrong way of approaching this, because we have found kids will find a way around it. And I disagree with having our data easily accessible online, especially private data. That shouldn't be given away to different companies, especially if we don't know how the data is stored, or we can't even trust if it's properly deleted. I signed up for the age verification system on Discord, and that immediately got leaked. So there is a possibility that my data is now out on the internet, which I don't like. I've got to...
Jesus.
Yeah. So this is why this system isn't good. And I'm never going to do that again. There has to be a better implementation ready. This is why with WWDC recently, there was the whole age verification from Apple. I think that is a way better approach. Actually limiting it on the device instead of on the platform. Because then you are setting that security on the device. You're not giving that data away to other people, and the parents will set that limitation. I think it should become a law that is the system.
Passkey. We've already got passkeys.
Yeah.
Why can't we make that part of passkey?
There's a whole thing about that. I've rambled on with friends about that before. Maybe it'll be a future episode, but not today.
Yeah.
I also think if we do go down this route, I don't think we should ban kids from social media, personally.
Okay.
I think we should ban algorithms on social media for kids below 15 or 13. So they don't, because the whole problem that we have is it will recommend suicide or inappropriate content to children, and it plants that idea.
That's part of the problem, yeah.
Yes, it is part of the problem. Bullying is another problem, but I don't think we can actually do anything about that. That will always get through in any different ways. If you limit the algorithm to literally only being close by, if it can only be family, friends, and not a bombardment of suggested content all of the time, maybe even having vetted, bring back the tick system, but actually make it useful. Instead of having people pay for ticks, this tick system is still verified by, I don't know, Instagram or YouTube or different platforms like that. And that means that these kids are allowed to watch this content, allowed to follow this content, as well as their friends and family, instead of being influenced by absolutely everything. I
disagree.
You disagree? Okay, go ahead.
Yeah.
I'm intrigued.
Because your point, I guess, tackles the problem of the types of content that young people are accessing. But I see the bigger picture of social engineering being a problem. Kids being trained to be social by holding a phone. And the bigger part of getting phones out of hands, because there's nothing interesting on there, enables young people to develop some of those psychological, physical building blocks that they need at that age of being able to build physical relationships. Because yes, we do all have online relationships now, but you can see in what's happening with young people how that physical connection is causing harm as well. So I do think encouraging them to be off the phone and not being on the phone looking at better stuff is probably a good idea long term.
That's where the on-device implementation would be better, because you could just set limits at that point. I will say, though, as someone who grew up...
get off limits?
Yeah.
Okay.
I will say, as a kid that grew up always having the internet, it has been a huge benefit to me as well. I don't want to cut off a whole new generation to be able to learn what I learned from the internet. Not the bad stuff, but the good stuff. Like,
it's hard to tell, because we'd literally have to pick you up and drop you in the 70s and bring you up then to see which one would be more beneficial. You can't really say it's benefited you when you haven't lived the alternative.
I don't think I would have had such an interest in media specifically. I thought I would go into programming, and I wanted to be an actor for a bit, but I'm so glad I didn't. The fact that I discovered companies like Rooster Teeth or Yogscast growing up, or Hello Internet, really developed my world around creating media and podcasts and learning how to do After Effects. I wouldn't want to leave that behind. And it also helped me in a massive way learn how to work with my dyslexia. If I didn't have my computer, I'd still be struggling thinking I'm an idiot all the time. But I developed ways with my computer to enhance my brain. Yes, I believe that technology has a damaging factor to almost everyone, including me. I am definitely addicted to my laptop or playing games on my computer. But once you kind of learn how your brain works, that's fine. You can cope with it. You can kind of try and, if you want to, develop it. But that's not what kids get. They don't have that. They want that immediate addiction, and there is no time for boredom if they keep going to these addictions.
Mm-hmm. I think this generation is too late for them.
Yeah.
But the next that they're trying to save, let's see. Andy Burnham, our new Prime Minister, one of his first announcements was that digital IDs are scrapped. So
yeah, I'm happy.
That's going to be interesting, because they still, what's his name? I forgot the old guy's name already. Keir Starmer was hadn't defined how they would implement it, and he said that's something they'll do in early 2027. They'll kind of work that out, and clearly that was his backdoor into the digital IDs that he wanted before. So this thing might not even go ahead, because they've now got to work out how to do it without that digital ID system.
If we went down the digital ID route, I would hope, and this is me going down that route that I said I would do in a future episode, I would hope that it would be treated like cryptocurrency. And I know that sounds absolutely terrifying immediately, but you have that hard drive of your data, and you are only giving access to a code, which then gives them access to taking that money in or depositing that money out.
Yeah.
I would hope that we would have a system like that. Let's say our phone is our wallet that has all our data on it. When we go on a website, we have to confirm with our phone, it sends a code. And instead of telling them this is John Doe and his name, his age is 22, and
it just says yes.
It just says, yes, he can use this content. No, he can't use this content.
Yeah.
That's what the future should be. I would like to go on a little bit more of a rant very quickly on the age law thing on a different route. My brother is still in high school, and recently they brought in, across the entire of our country, these phone bag things, right? Have you seen these?
No.
No? Okay. Maybe not every school then. They are forcing kids to put their
My
phones...
daughter doesn't have a phone at school, so
really?
I wouldn't have heard of it. Yeah, she doesn't take her phone to school. Oh. My kids never did.
But yeah, they have these things to stop people from being addicted to their phones. They put them in the bag, it locks them, and then they can't have it back until the end of the day. And I think it's a magnetic lock, so you have to go up and it has to be unlocked that way.
Wow.
It is overkill, I think, and insane. I would rather there be, because my phone, yeah, people use them, but when I was in high school, I don't feel like we used them that often.
Right.
So I would prefer it if instead, again, the government more approached Apple or Google and told them, right, you have to have this mode that when you're in school, you only have access to a timetable of what you've got on that day, a calculator maybe. Basically, whatever the school decides, you are locked off to that mode when you're in that geofencing area.
Yeah.
Pretty much what I've set up for myself. When I'm in university, my phone locks down into education mode. If you could get that as a national thing, as something that they should do, that'd be really, really good. Because the phones are useful. They are. I mean, we used to play Kahoot or some random web stuff to try and do flashcards in the middle of lessons. They are useful. They are a huge distraction if you let kids have free reign of whatever they want to do. So you will have kids sat in the middle of class using TikTok or Instagram. But if you lock it down, maybe it might actually be a productive device again.
Okay.
No, you didn't.
Okay.
You didn't. No. This is a podcast. You share your opinions.
I do think your idea is brilliant. The geofencing thing is brilliant. I can see why they wouldn't do it because that requires maintenance and staff, and it does because it will get broken. It will need updating.
I wasn't disagreeing with you. There's a cat at my window that's trying to get in. Sorry.
All that sort of stuff. So I can see there are multiple reasons why they would say no to that. In terms of putting people's phones in a box, I just don't think that's the answer either. I don't like the idea of institutions trying to be parents. I think that's wrong fundamentally, and I always have. It has to start with parents, and I don't want to be condescending to parents, but educating parents, whether that's subtly, informally, or directly, so that parents want their kids to not have their phones on in class, because a lot of the problem from an education standpoint is the parents don't think that's a problem. In fact, the parents will want their kids to have their phones in class just in case there's an emergency or if they need to see that. I've heard that so many times. But that's all down to the parents not really having aspirations for their children to be learning more in class. They'd rather them just be on social media or be contactable or be happy. Just want little Freddie to be happy. And then you'll find other young people who have supportive parents, like yourself, I'm guessing, who are aware or very self-aware of how they're using their time in class and what's beneficial to them. And they try and figure out ways to resolve those issues. But that's that's not a majority. That's really not. It's a tough situation.
Me and my friends in high school, because we weren't allowed to use our phones. I mean, they were in our bags, but we didn't really use them that often. Only really when the teacher told us to. Sometimes we broke that rule, but not very often. We ended up bringing DSs into school, and we would communicate with DSs to find each other on the field, or we programmed our own BBC micros that communicated. That was fun. Wow. That was lessons, really.
Problem solving.
That's
good. That's cool. But then on the flip side, my daughter goes to school and they're not allowed phones in school, but it's put it in your bag at the gate policy. But she says once you go into class, the girls will just have the phones in their tops or in their bags, and they'll just be looking at them all the time, sending each other pictures of teachers and what's going on in class. And all you need is 3 out of 20 kids doing that in your class for the class to be distracted.
If anything, it kind of shows how much social media has ruined the internet, especially image-based social media. When you just used to write a Facebook post or a tweet, that was mostly just giving a thought on what you were doing,
and you had to be witty and clever.
Yeah, yeah. Now it's just, I'm going to send a photo of my teacher and say, I don't know, idiot or something rude or inappropriate.
Yeah.
Why? What does that do? I don't get it.
The worst one is in class. You've probably seen this hundreds of times, but it's normally a girl, it's hardly ever a guy, who takes a selfie, sends it on Snapchat, doesn't put any words of it. And the amount of times I've said, why have you taken a selfie of yourself in front of a computer when you're not actually doing any work? It doesn't make any sense to me. You're just on your phone.
Talking of
I'm
phones,
just old.
I'm looking at a phone right now, ironically, because I just remembered a really funny movie. I've got to go on Letterboxd, another social media platform. Good luck, have fun, don't die. Have you heard of that film?
I've heard of it, yeah.
Watch
Haven't seen it.
It's so funny. It really is funny. You will find it even more funny as a teacher. So I highly recommend it. Didn't that come out
quite recently?
Yes, it did.
I remember hearing about it, yeah.
Came out last year.
Cool.
But definitely give it a watch. Adventure. Yeah, I think it's worth it. We paid for it, and because we had nothing else to watch, we've stopped paying for subscriptions and started just paying to buy a movie instead.
A la carte, yeah.
And that movie is really good. I highly recommend it. It's kind of on this subject.
My girl Zazie Beetz. Oh, the cast looks quite cool. Wow, the cast is brilliant.
Yeah, I know.
It's got that guy, the British guy. What's his name? Asim Chowdhury.
Yes. Yeah. It's so good. It really is good. I highly recommend it.
Oh, I'm going to watch it. Zazie Beetz is one of my favorite actresses.
I will add one more thing to this subject. Do you think, because when I started doing media stuff, I uploaded to my current YouTube channel for the first time when I was 11. Do you think kids should be allowed to upload to YouTube or to these platforms at all? Or would it be more safety? Or is that just going too far to try and block kids from being able to upload their own media to YouTube?
Yeah, I don't think they should be allowed.
You don't think they should be allowed?
No, when I've got my safeguarding head on, I don't think they should be allowed. Or if they are allowed, there should be a system where, just like most things, you've got some guardian permissions in place, which is horrible because it stifles them being creative and, you know. But no.
If anything, I feel like we should be maybe as parents, I'm not a parent, but like as a parent, maybe it should be the responsibility is to kind of shrink down the world for this kid and slowly make the world bigger as they grow up, giving them access to more and more of the world. Because I mean, the moment that I had access to the internet, I could chat to anyone. I remember, do you remember there was a lot of these websites that had these AI chatbot things that weren't really AI. Do you remember these?
No.
I remember watching them on YouTube channels stuff. Anyway, there was one where I ended up chatting to it and I told it my name and it told me to F off because my name is Mac and it said, I prefer Windows, F off. And I was 8 at the time and that was funny.
Yeah.
I do think a lot of social media has framed who I am as a person.
Yeah.
But
just like the 2 generations before were defined by television, you know, and a few before that by radio. I mean, and you know, wherever they're watching plays and things like that. The difference is that it's that interactive personal element to it. You know, television was just broadcast media. And this is not, this is something else.
I mean, these were people online that were just random people who ended up becoming famous. And I think I always aspire to that, being able to just have a community that all agreed on the same thing, or maybe not all agreed on the same thing, but had a common interest is something that is just fascinating to me and always has been. And that's why I like media like this.
We've always had subcultures. We've always had subcultures. That you don't need social media to have a subculture. It's just global subculture.
It's global subculture made easy to access. If I wanted to meet up with a bunch of, I don't know, microphone or camera people, I'd have to go and meet up and they'd have to be arranged. And go to conventions. I can now chat with someone online about cameras who I've never met, which multiple security risks are there. But also it's kind of nice. It is a confusing way to put this, really.
It swings and roundabouts because you're talking about lowering the barrier to entry for a specific group, which can be really good and really encouraging and embracing for people, but can also be like, you see the problems with that too, right?
I'm very much aware of the
groups
problems
we've got in the world now.
I just think that all of these news channels that I have watched talk about this phenomenon, have more focused on the negatives and less on the positive aspects of the internet. And I'm very much aware that the negatives outweigh the positives, but I kind of just want to put out there are positives. Stuff happens that have changed people's lives for better or worse on the internet.
Yeah.
I did another YouTube video, actually kind of apt for what we were just talking about.
Okay.
Where I put so much effort into... Right. Okay. Actually, we'll play a fun game. I put a lot of effort into this video. How big do you think is the file on my computer for the DaVinci edit and all of the footage, sound effects, and mixed media animations I did for it?
What, for the project folder?
For the project folder. That would be the easier way. I don't know why I went through the whole list. Project folder.
I mean, how it could be a 30-second video. I don't really know. It
2
could
minutes.
be in 2 minutes, 4K, 80 gig.
140 gigs.
Wow.
I went a bit mad.
For 2 minutes.
For 2 minutes.
I was overshooting it with 80 gig.
The original version was longer, but I kept finding myself just rambling on, so I cut it down quite a bit. With this video, I took a very different approach. With all the other ones, I've been in it. I've been chatting directly to camera. But I've had quite a lot of people just say, well, you're reading off of a laptop screen. We can all see it.
Yeah.
So with this one, I shot all the B-roll first, wrote the script, and then edited the video. But what I didn't take into account is I would change my mind. So I recorded the footage, edited the script, re-recorded the footage and edited the script and kept doing that until I was happy. And then I started doing the effects and then I changed my mind and then cut down the script. And it just took what should have taken, maybe 2 weeks, maybe at most, maybe 3 days for the normal person, has taken me a month and a half to get the video out. And it is only 2 minutes. I was just being too precious of it. And towards the end, I just want to get the project out the door. And fun fact, there's a bit where I talk about how Apple just added an EQ in the newest OS.
Yeah.
I forgot to put footage there. It's straight up just black for a little bit, but I don't think anyone would notice. Or I think people would think I did it on purpose, but no, I just forgot.
Only you will know that.
Yeah. But I should say the video is about the AirPod Pro 3s and how much I really enjoyed them. In, I think, a previous episode of this podcast, I discussed about how I was planning on doing a video about that. And I'm very proud of the video. It's not getting a lot of views because I haven't done a lot of YouTube videos, and I think that's kind of killed the channel a little bit. I'm planning on doing more, maybe more in this style, because I'm enjoying... I think now that I've got this style started, I will be able to do it faster in the future. Because I don't see my channel as a review channel. I see it as a testing ground to learn more styles on how to edit or how to get these different animations. So I'm not really approaching it going, I'm going to make a perfect review. I don't think the script is that good. I'm approaching it of, what if I try doing it this way or that way this time? But
Cool.
yeah, I highly recommend watching the video. Of course I would. I made it. But yeah, that's what I've been working on recently.
Nice. On the subject of videos, have you seen the new Sony camera?
I have
Just got released today.
not. I have
Sony
not seen it.
FX5 Cine camera just got announced today. All the reviews came out at the same time, like 4 o'clock or something like that. This camera is the perfect cinema camera.
FX5.
FX5.
I'll say one thing. It looks identical to the FX4.
The FX3, yeah. They've got similar
FX3,
bodies, absolutely. But yeah, it's completely all new processing. Records in 5K, records open gate.
I'm sorry.
240 at 4K.
There's
Ridiculous.
Ethernet on it.
16-bit. Yep. 16-bit raw. Unbelievable. It's just $4,000, but
That's actually cheaper than I was expecting.
however, what that means is now the FX30 and the FX3 hopefully are going to lose a lot of value, and that's where I am in the market. There's no announcement of the FX50 yet, but I'm sure that will come, which would be won't be full frame, but same camera.
I will say, after seeing the new Red camera about what came out last year. That screen's a bit small for my liking. I'd want it to be a bit bigger. I'm generally interested in that new red camera that came out. Yeah, this camera is cool. I mean, it's almost every person's dream at the moment to have an FX3 or an FX30. Now it's going to be an FX5. Everyone wants this camera who does video work.
Yeah. The screen articulates in some cool ways as well if you have a look at it. But I guess the screen's slightly bigger than last time, but most people are going to stick that in the rig and put their Atmos Ninja on it or whatever they've got.
Does it still need that annoying audio mount on the top to have a XLR input in?
Yes, but they've also made an accessory for it, a 32-bit float microphone accessory for it, which is first as well. But yeah, you can get traditional analog XLR adapter if you're going to record audio that way. I think audio technology, especially in camera work, has just moved so quickly in the last 5 years that that's almost an afterthought now because things are just going to be different in 6 months or improved.
Oh, did the last one have anamorphic D-squeeze built in?
I think it was an update it got later on, but this is open gate, right? So it can use the whole sensor and shoot an anamorphic. Will be mad for that.
I wonder what the battery's
get the
like.
whole resolution. Don't know if it's got a new battery type or
170 minutes. That's what it says.
Again, though, everyone who uses that is going to be using some sort of DTAP brand battery, aren't they? But no, yeah. So I'm on Marketplace now, mate. Give me some cheap hand-me-downs for all the upgraders.
I'm sticking to the HX2S. Right?
That's the Fuji?
That's the Fujifilm we've got, right? I believe so. I'm sticking to that.
You better know. You spent about £1 million on that.
1,000?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not changing anytime soon. That was too much money for me. And I tell you what I've learned from this project I just finished. I am not good at color grading. I am terrible at color grading. In fact, when I opened up the file the other day, I accidentally changed all the colors to green.
What, just like with the global tint?
I don't know. I opened up the file and everything was green. I had to reconfigure everything.
Started blaming everything like your monitors and all that stuff.
It was either the file corrupted or I corrupted. I will say my next plan for a YouTube video. Well, I was planning on doing a review of the Pebble. I still haven't got the Pebble. It's been delayed again.
Still?
Yeah.
Get your money back.
I'm tempted. I am planning on doing a review of the Steam machine, which I've been on a queue from day one, but it's been a very long wait. I mean, day one was the beginning or the end of last month, and I'm still waiting for my spot in the queue.
Jesus.
I didn't even get the one I wanted. But I'm going to review it because it's going to become my daily computer. I'm swapping not this machine. This is still going to be my work machine, but the old Windows machine, I'm getting rid of that, and that's going. I'm going full on Linux. Actually, I already am. I swapped to Linux about 3 months ago. I swapped Windows out, not going back to it. I'm happy to a certain degree.
What Windows 12 might be amazing.
Oh no! I've never got on with Windows. Never. If you're enjoying the show, there's a whole lot more where that came from over at wonkypod.com. We run a bunch of shows. Viewfinder is our walk and talk street photography podcast. Screen Free is where we get into film development and reviews. And coming very soon, Overthink, a documentary-style deep dive into the creative world. Head over to wonkypod.com to support us on Patreon and keep all of this going. Right, back to it. As a teacher, you would have heard of V-levels, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
What do you think of V-levels?
I've never been afraid or concerned, yes, but change normally excites me, especially in education, because it moves quite slowly. Mm-hmm. But however, when we got the T levels, which are technical levels, we could see the writing was on the wall for the types of courses, the creative courses that we do. Now, T levels was okay.
Can you explain in a bit more detail for listeners what is happening?
So at the moment, you've got A levels, which I didn't know were academic levels. Now we're calling them those. Normally focused on more of the what we would call a serious subjects, let's say English, maths, science, whatnot. Then we've got all the creative courses that tend to be on some sort of a BTEC, or we do UAL, but qualifications that don't require exams and are more focused on just developing creatively and getting into the creative industries. Now, there have been courses that have often been looked at by parents as kind of time-wasting courses. Why do you need to go do a course in games design or media or art or graphics? Who does graphics? That's just
no idea.
Wasting their time.
Yeah.
So the government have been trying to iterate and work at ways to make these courses be taken more seriously, I guess. And they've come up with T levels in the past, which is technical levels, and that's aimed at getting people from courses into industry. So doing 300 hours a year working in industry so that they can get a job straight away. They kind of en masse flopped, especially in the place that I work. They just didn't work out. It wasn't thought out. It was kind of a big thing that the government, I think it was Conservatives, could throw in front of everybody at the time. Embarrassed that it didn't work, they've now tried to bring something else in called the academic levels, or the V levels, the vocational levels, for all of those creative type vocational courses that we mentioned before. Now, V levels, from my understanding, are going to be integrated with A levels and T levels, VAT. Love that. So as a young person, that means you can walk into an institution and you can say, I want to do a vocational or a V level in art and design, and I want to do an A level in science, and I want to do a T level in IT. And you can combine those things and make your own kind of menu of education. From my perspective, we're going to start losing those vocational courses, and maybe it might devalue what we do a bit more in education. But I do think it needs to move forwards, and I am open to seeing how it's structured and what the education or the what am I talking about? What are they called? I haven't been at work for 3 weeks. Sorry, the exam boards, how they kind of interpret the V levels.
I am personally terrified of this news. I am someone who, met you via doing these courses.
Yeah.
And the idea that they are changing kind of moving away from you showing your workings, which was kind of what we were graded on. We were graded on the write down of how we worked our projects, how we designed, where we got our inspiration from. The process, right?
Yeah.
If we don't focus on that aspect, I feel like we're missing out on the whole point of design or any of these more creative side of things. I think by focusing on exams, you are cutting out almost the entire creative aspect personally. Especially, again, I'm going to bring up something that I brought up earlier in the episode. I have dyslexia. It is a major impact on my life that I have learned to kind of get used to, or at least utilize. And I failed my GCSEs quite badly and wasn't able to do very well. That meant I had to do an extra year in my course when I came to college, came to the college you taught at. But I proved that I could do stuff. I proved that I was useful, and I proved that to myself and other people by doing that course. I feel like you'll be cutting off a whole group of people that believe they are worth nothing because of a GCSEs focusing more on maths and English. Maths and English are incredibly crucial, but at the same time, they aren't the meaning to everything. There are more than just maths and English. And I don't think that you can measure people by how much they know how to use an apostrophe.
Yeah.
I don't believe that is the correct way of measuring the human mind. The human mind can do such amazing things in many different ways. I may not be great at maths and English, but I know how to design a beautiful poster or a podcast or edit. I'm generally terrified for the generations after me to be losing out on another thing that I think is very useful.
I agree. in the immediate, I guess what they're saying is in this immediate first step, they're not getting rid of that. But this is already a slippery slope, right? So they're breaking up these creative courses and letting people pick and choose the parts they want to go along with their more serious course of the A levels or T levels. But eventually, that will be sidelined. It won't be worth the same amount of UCAS points as the other parts. And we can all see that happening. The difficulty is our courses, creative courses, vocational courses, are about valuing the process and valuing your individual creative process. And sometimes even the end product doesn't really matter, as you know. Like with FMPs, sometimes they're great, but sometimes just the thought process and the stages you went through and the personal learning journey you went through is more valuable, and the grade reflects that. But they're looking at it from the people that are in control, the education ministers and whatnot, look at their backgrounds, okay?
I know, yeah,
Look at the schools they've gone to. Look at the education they valued. They cannot quantify that type of education. They don't value those steps because they value what they saw. And they're the people, without getting political, that we had in charge and that we actually still have in charge. And they're saying that they're looking at how can we grow the country and make the country money, essentially. And they don't see the value in the creative vocational arts. But then we've got the BBC, like one of the biggest creative outputs in the world, right?
I mean, there's a statistic that the UK's biggest industry is media. That is our main area that we provide to the rest of the world is media. Yeah. So kind of killing that off is an interesting approach, or maybe not killing it off, but damaging it a little bit.
Damaging it and long-term devaluing it equals killing it. It's the same with the BBC. Have you seen the big advert now where Ramesh come out?
Yeah.
They're trying to defend this institution. And basically what they're saying is, well, listen, you might not watch it directly, but this thing is influencing so much of the things that you use, you see, you interact with, even if it's not the BBC. It's keeping a standard there. It's making us value the arts and whatever else they do. But those things are, what's the word I'm looking for? They're subtle. They're not tangible. And so therefore, it's easy for those higher ups to say they don't exist.
Yeah, I think it's terrible. One of the things that really annoyed me when I was at college was the fact that we had one day where I'd have to do maths and English when all I really wanted to do was what I enjoyed doing, what my passion was. And this whole mix mash of trying to have multiple different areas to try and separate your course up into different things so you can try and make the perfect thing, that's not going to work, in my opinion. It is better when you have a full-on created course and you have 100% of your focus on that course. I know from my mum also being a teacher at a different college that they really struggle with the fact that these students aren't coming in on those lessons because they are only interested in art or media. So I do find it really strange that our government is taking this approach. I don't know what we can do to stop this, or to at least, we need someone, this is where it's getting really political. I'm trying to avoid with this podcast to be political, but we need someone in education, or the head of education for the country, who is from these schools personally. We don't need someone from a posh school. We need someone from any school. It could be anything.
Yeah.
Maybe even, I don't know, like a council of different teachers across the country to in one place to actually give their opinion of how this will affect students. And
we had it.
You had it?
We've had it we've had, I don't know who education minister was when I was a little one, but it seemed to be implemented then. I went to college. I got my maths and English, but not everybody did. But you didn't have to do maths and English in college when I was there. You could go and do your vocational course or your cooking course. And if you wanted to do maths and English because a job required you to, you would pay to do that in the evenings. And that was your option. So we already thought that way for years and years. Something changed around 2006, 2007, where we started saying everyone has to get the maths and English. We'll give it to them for free. Brilliant. But they'll keep doing it until they get it, until they're 19. That was the first step. And now we're taking the next step, which is flipping it so that vocational is second and everything else is first.
I do also worry the effect it will have on university, because that may seem a bit odd, but this will eventually dry out that pool of artists and creative people who want to go to university, or at least it will take out a chunk of time where they're going to have to redirect how you're learning, at least, to be more of a different process.
It won't. Eventually, it will immediately dry that talent pool. Because these young people will be picking 3 subjects. None of these young people are going to pick 3 art or 3 vocational subjects, because their parents are now going to say, well, you better do science or business or maths alongside that. So then you'll have young people that might do 2/3 of a creative subject and then go to university. They're probably going to go down that other route when they get to uni, unfortunately. I do think it's going to have an immediate impact on universities. But on the flip side, maybe it makes universities and that whole system look and reflect about their offer and what they charge and how to... Because I do think they've sat on their hands a bit as well for the last 15 years, having visited unis. You know, the money's gone up, but the offer hasn't really changed. How many days a week are you into?
Yeah, about 2.
Yeah.
But
I was at uni 20 years ago. I was in 4 days a week and I paid 1/3 of what you pay.
I do think that my course offers me more than I am taking in, I have to say. We do have maybe one kind of lecture day, one session day, maybe an hour, another day of actually having a lecture from someone outside of the university, and then one contextual learning day. So it kind of makes up 4 days. It is more sporadic, I imagine, than when you went to university, and the online access has definitely made it so we can do more work from our accommodation or from home.
Yeah.
So I think it's a different approach. I'm not going to justify that how much I'm paying makes sense to me, but I'm not too annoyed at the universities yet. Maybe in a few times when I'm paying it back, I might change my mind. But currently, I'm not annoyed at universities. I do want to put it out there, because this is kind of a political subject. We're not telling anyone our political. We're not telling you to follow our political opinions. What I will say is, if you do have any opinions on this, go contact your local MP and try and get them to either go against it or for it. I mean, I'm not going to want you to go for it, but it is up to you. It is your political opinion. But please stop them from doing this.
Yeah, I don't have a political opinion at all. I'm just observing how things have changed.
Yeah. And I mean, this is the first topic we've ever done on politics specifically. We've kind of stayed away. And this episode has been very much focused on the politics of the internet's devices and education. I hope this episode is interesting to people, because it was definitely much more of a planned episode than before, and I wanted to get this off my chest. When I heard this, it kind of made my skin crawl, and I think this is terrifying personally as a creative person in the industry who's gone through that process. I want to get the word out there that there is we need to do something to stop it, pretty much. And I don't know how else to do that except for podcasting. Eli is being very quiet because he is a teacher, and technically he's not allowed to say anything political, I believe.
Not because I'm a teacher, just because of where else I work.
Good point. I forgot about that. But I'm allowed to say stuff.
Absolutely. And I'm just trying to think of alternative ways. We were talking earlier about how you said the internet is responsible largely for a lot of your influences, experience, opportunities that you sought. And do we need to start thinking differently about education now? We're talking about traditional routes of education that the biggest film directors now done 60 years ago. Do we still need to go down the routes where Eli stands at the front and does chalk and talk and gives you a camera. Then there are other ways to educate yourself if you are keen and if you want to explore.
I think I might be biased because I'd say no. I actually think that balance of having online and in-person access to, I mean, a lot of people say they've learned something from online, and then when they actually get to use it in person, they don't know how it works at all. I mean, I thought I knew how cameras worked, and then I actually got a camera or got access to one, and it was entirely different than what I expected. Mm-hmm. So, and online media isn't regulated in that way. There's not apart from Open University, there's not really an option online where they will tell you this is exactly how it is. It's a bunch of people giving their opinions, like us, on how we think it should be, or reviewing technology. And even reviewing technology can be persuaded on payment or if they've been given the product for free. Mm-hmm. When you're in education, the teachers, they tend to have to learn that gear, and they have to stick to a curriculum, or they have stuff to do. They've been taught it. They're from a background that's very different to what we get online. So I do believe that we still need education to teach those skills.
We need to start a body online that educates young people and is not college, but there is some sort of, what you're talking about is there's some sort of threshold and kite mark there. I think that's the next step. If they're going to kill what vocational education, something else will be born, and I'd love to be part of it.